Welcome to Barely Stable, an intermediate level podcast.
Hosted by Daniel Freeberg and Nick Barr. Produced by Daniel Rigdon, studio engineer Trevor Williamson. A cool disc golf podcast for intermediate players. This is the Barely Stable Podcast.
Live from beautiful Austin, Texas, this is the Barely Stable Podcast. We're ready to BS. Here are your Barely Stable hosts, Daniel Freeberg and Nick Barr.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Barely Stable Podcast. With me, as always, my man, Daniel Freeberg.
What's up, everybody? Got a special guest today, Tracey Deadman with DeadDyes, been hanging out with us today.
Absolutely. And with the booth, as always, with us in the booth, as always, we'll try words in sequence as they make sense. So in the booth with the booth in the booth, are words even a thing?
We're here. In the booth, we have Daniel Rigdon and Trevor Williamson.
Thank you for helping.
How y'all doing today, guys?
Hello, we're Booth.
I'm Booth.
Booth back there.
Booth. You booth me, Nick.
Booth you guys.
We'll get through this. We just recorded a lengthy podcast with the Disc Golf World, and we're here with our Dash 2 of the week, where we're going to talk with Tracey about his dye company. He's made some discs for us, apparently. We're going to go through the the Open in Austin review, and then we're going to preview the USWDGC here at Sprinkle Valley and a few other courses here in Austin. But first, a quick word from our sponsor.
We'll be right back.
Oh, hello there. I didn't see you there. I'm just sitting here reading my newest edition of Disc Golfer by the PDGA. And in this month's episode, they feature Waterloo Disc Golf, our very own Waterloo Disc Golf here in Austin, Texas. If you have a chance, pick it up, give it a read, because our guy Gordon Kelly is all over this thing. They show off the Waterloo Disc Classic, all the donations that happen in the area, all the parks that get picked up by Waterloo. Make sure if you see this in your mailbox or at an event, you pick it up and check out Waterloo Disc Golf from here in Austin, Texas. This is a free advertisement for the Disc Golfer magazine presented by the PDGA.
And welcome back, everybody, the Barely Stable Podcast. Love it. DeadDyes, Tracey Deadman. I heard you brought us some gifts.
I did. So just made you guys a little bit of. We'll turn for the camera. There.
Something. Right, and he's got one for each of us. Can we? Can I take it out so we can get the? This is going to be the main one that stays here.
Here, I'll hold it in close.
Really close. Ooh. It is dope. And can you tell us a little bit about the process that goes into getting these made? Because these are super bitchin'.
Yeah, well, if you look at my Instagram, it literally only took about 15 to 20 seconds on a time lapse. But
on a time lapse,
it was great. Knocked them out within 10 minutes. These are pretty simple stencils. I use a lot of my stencils. I use denatured alcohol mixes, dye mixes, and they just take saturation really quick. You don't have to hot dip. You don't have to do anything major. Yeah. You just have to be really careful. These were some understamped zones, I believe.
I think it's the bottom stamp zone.
Yeah. So,
they call these the white ones for Discraft. They have like a name for it. It's like dye friendly or something.
Yeah. I can't.
I forget too.
Exactly what they say.
I don't remember the names of plastic half the time.
And the reason is because if you have a stamp and you have to wipe stamps off, that leaves ridges in the disc from the stamp being burned into it. So when you do a stencil, it can cause runs. If you don't get the vinyl all the way into the ridge of the stamp that you had to wipe off, it'll cause runs, and then you have little lines coming off of the actual design. And so when you use an understamp like this, it just comes out clean. It's much better.
Watching it, the time lapse, watching it happen is mesmerizing. It's like one of those satisfying things. Mm-hmm. Do you use a Cricut to do the stencil?
Absolutely.
So, from the peeling to the application of the colors, it's awesome to watch. What I can't get over is how much fidelity there is. Like, it looks so crisp and clean and just... it looks perfect. It looks like a machine did it. It doesn't look like a human hand made it.
It takes a lot of practice to get to that point.
I'll bet. Yeah, that looks like an expert.
Luckily, I had a guy, good friend of mine from Corpus Christi, had given me a stack of Lone Star discs. He was on the Lone Star Ranger team, and he gave me a stack just to practice on. And back when I first started, literally 7-8 months ago.
Oh, you're only 8 months in?
Yeah, that's
What?
it. And
That's
so,
impressive.
luckily, they were Lone Star discs, so I figured you can't make them look any worse. But
Jeez. Shots fired.
I was going to say, is your friend a dog?
but
I
I figure you can't screw them up any worse. No, but he gave me literally a dozen discs to try out and do different designs and different types of mediums. Everything from flow trowel to glue beds.
Yeah.
Stencils when I finally got a cutter, and now I do everything from literally just about every medium, including stained glass, and that's one of my.
And we can throw a picture up of this.
Yeah, we have to throw up the jackalope, stained jackalope.
The jackalope is super bitchin'. You made that for somebody here in town?
Yeah, for a guy from Mint Discs.
Nice.
One of the owners from
I hope to see him throwing that around because that is
So dope.
is art. It's truly artwork. Again, hopefully it's up on the screen right now, but it is a
gem.
Yeah, it's just a gem. The thing that is, I guess, interesting to me is that you get a lot of artistry with the dye. Like it's not this, like you have like some waves to it. There's like, it almost takes up the swirl of the disc and accents it. Almost like brings out like wood grain when you stain it.
And one of the reasons that happens is like it's a larger area. When you use denatured alcohol, it doesn't flow completely even across it. Now I could do a second coat and it would probably come out just solid blue. But when you have that little bit of variation from one coat of denatured alcohol, that process for that color by itself literally only takes 5 minutes.
That's
It's
incredible.
that quick.
It's super bitchin'. One of the things that you were showing me that I thought was really cool about them is your stamps for them.
Yeah.
You,
right.
Yeah, tell us about the stamp a little bit.
I don't know if we'll be able to.
Unfortunately, you can't see it. We'll
Yeah.
maybe take a picture of one later and throw it
Yeah,
up.
we'll
but
do that with the black light. Yeah.
One thing I've learned too is that when I do a stained glass, I did some earlier or late last year for Christmas, and I used to put my DeadDyes logo on the inside of the rim. Well, you can see it.
Yeah.
It's a clear disc, so you can actually see through the disc, and you see, oh, what is this writing on the inside? It's kind of like inking up,
Yeah.
a disc. So even though artwork, they'll have their signature in the corner. I like to have my signature, but now I don't like people to know it unless they really look.
Yeah.
So I use a UV reactive dye. It's clear, and once you hit it with a black light, boop, my little logo pops.
It's like an Easter egg. It's
So
sick.
bitchin'. Yeah, in
it's
every
like
way.
And if you ever really want to screw with one of your friends,
yeah.
give me their disc. Just take it out of their bag. Give me a disc.
Will you put a big wiener on it?
I will put anything.
Yes.
And
You heard it here, folks. First.
Yep. Yeah.
they'll
Heard it
never
here
know
first,
until
folks.
that
Wow.
first glow around.
You gotta put the black light on it. Big old wiener. I have a few.
I feel like you could sponsor an event, a glow event, and tell no one, but have different little symbols on the discs you give out. That
would be
kinda
fun.
Somebody
do
that
that.
gets a disc with a certain symbol wins a prize or something. That'd be. But and I wanted you to talk a little bit about yourself. Like Tracey has been a friend of mine for a while. I think we met last year at the Pecan City Classic. I think Rigdon was on the card with you.
Yeah.
You were playing MA3. You were
Yep.
still kind of learning. And you're around, and we can talk about this later. You're around some pros pretty regularly, but it was pretty neat to see you come from MA3 to just recently. I saw you placed and qualified for Team Mint in
That I did.
MA50.
Yep.
And then a couple weeks ago, we had a pretty big win.
I did, yeah, pretty good win.
you wanna tell us about,
I had my first A-tier win a 3 weeks ago.
Was it the Zanville NADGT?
No,
or-
it was Victoria Open.
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
in MA2.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Let's
Yeah.
give a little round
Yeah.
of applause there. That's congratulations, man. That's a big
kind
win.
of jumped up the ladder there.
Yeah.
Pretty quick.
And so, like, I've had this goal of hitting 900. And when I met him, we were both like 860 or something. And he's 900 now. 906?
906.
Hey,
Yeah, just
there
like-
it is.
Nothing. And he was telling me, he's like, oh, one
Oh,
of my
it
goals-
wasn't nothing. It was some work. But this year's been good. No, I've been playing good this year. Can't really complain. I think I was telling you this morning, I averaged all my 12 or 13 rated rounds this year, and I'm shooting well over 930.
Nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's ratings going up. Once my league rounds hit, my ratings next month will go way up. So
Do you feel like you've gotten any influence tips, any sort of, I don't want to call it help maybe
Training?
along the way from anybody?
training, pro influence training. Amazingly enough, my son, or my stepson, Mason Ford, has never given me a single lesson on anything related to disc golf.
That is very interesting. Where do you get your biggest tips from? If you could attribute your growth over the last year to anything, what would you give it?
A lot of work.
But I guess where do you get the motivated to work for? Obviously, you had to put in your time and hours and your 10,000 hours even. But what were you? What was your guidance to go through that? What did you work on? Like, what part of your game do you feel like you really dialed in that helped get you over that line?
Well, my putting wasn't that great today, but amazingly enough, one of the videos I watched on YouTube a long time was Philo Braithwaite. Is that how you say that?
Yeah.
So Philo's putting clinic, and it's a lot to me due to timing, and slowing down your process and making sure that you just it's a timing thing. And that's all it is.
Yeah.
And if you get your timing off, you're off.
Yeah.
And I watched that video and I went out and I practiced and I just kept that in the back of my head and use this little thing called apple pie. And every time when I putt now, I hear apple pie in my head. Other than that, I hear Valerie Monahano, don't pull your putts. You can make that putt like you're putting in practice. And I also say that in my head right before I go to putt every single time.
It's funny. The apple pie thing is the same method my coach taught me shooting free throws as a 12, 13-year-old, and constantly I said it when I was trying to find my putt a long time ago, like I need to find my free throw, like what just is like a consistent, this is just no matter what I can sit up and the disc will come out of my hand consistently, because it felt like it would translate to the rest of the game how a free throw does for basketball players doing jump shots and other things. Do you feel like that apple pie moment and maybe solidifying your putt translated to other parts of your game?
In ways, it slows me down when you think of certain things, and just there's a rhythm to everything.
Break down this apple pie thing for me. I've never heard this before.
This is great.
I can't do it.
So if you can, apple pie is kind of
Pie.
Your first moment is on apple pie, and it just keeps your tempo of
Okay. So for me, it's the don't think about it. Just put it in the basket. Usually followed by expletive.
That's on the way as I'm walking to that.
Okay.
Just don't think about it. Just don't pull your putt like you're putting in practice, and then I go apple pie, and
Every
it
time.
works. Not every single time. Sometimes you think like baked potato and you shank it.
Yeah, you could have
Sweet potato.
You could have apple pie is just like the way the word's set up. I think someone proved a long time ago. It's hard to make it faster, so it keeps you on tempo. It's kind of like when you count out your compressions for CPR and you use
Staying alive.
very similar thing. That tempo thing and the timing, I think you might have just unlocked something in my brain to go out and not only try, but like really think about with all my shots. Like, what is a tool I can use to keep my timing just on pace? Like when you're playing guitar, you tap your foot. When you're playing drum, you use methods and everything else to stay on time. Why aren't we doing that more in disc? That's great.
It just puts you in a rhythm.
Yeah.
And a lot of pros will even tell you, once you're in that rhythm, it's hard to get out of the rhythm. And you'll see it on the course.
Gloria Stefan said the same thing.
When you're in the she did. But when you're in the rhythm, I mean, you're just, or I think it's Calvin Heimberg even talked about the flow. When you're in a putting flow,
Yes,
it just everything.
I also
clicks.
like to get rhythm when I get the blues. Come on.
that'll do it.
rhythm.
I felt like a little bit of that today when we were putting. What do you got?
We got 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're good.
oh, we'll just edit back.
Nah.
So, whatever.
Yeah.
At this point, so you Team Mint on the I guess MA50 is that the
That's correct.
MA. What if you could? Disc Golf World mentioned while you were in here, not a lot of Mint discs outside of the Central Texas area. We know they're out there, but you don't see it prevalently. If you had to pitch a Mint disc that you love to someone who lives, let's say, in the Northeast or the Pacific Northwest that has no real exposure to Mint discs, what's the first one you want them to try?
Of course, my favorite's the UFO. I mean, it's a deep beaded putter, but not a huge bead putter.
Yeah.
It just flies. I mean, and I do everything with the UFO. I putt with it, and then I'll throw it. You know, but other than that, when it comes down to it, just a really great flying disc is the Alpha. The Alpha is just,
It's one of the OGs.
it's
Yeah.
a great disc.
OG.
And of course, you get different molds. They do different things, you know, but so it's extremely versatile. I have 3 in my bag at all times.
Nice.
And they all 3 fly different, but they all 3 are extremely reliable on exactly what I want them to do. So,
I did notice today we played this morning, and he used that UFO forever. He had 2 or 3 different UFOs,
yeah.
but he putted with them, and then he had a throw-in UFO that he used it a lot. And there were 3 or 4 times we were like, I should have thrown the UFO.
Yep.
It's a shout out to one of our good friends and fans, Lee Fleming. He has fallen in love with the UFO putting with him. I've fallen in love with him in the backyard, throwing him just this 120 feet, whatever it is, corner to corner into the net. That's my favorite when I have like my stack of backyard discs. When I get to the 2 UFOs, I'm kind of excited. I was like, okay, these are the 2 I got to really pay attention to because they just fly off the fingertips. It really is a great flying disc.
Well, funny story how I switched to UFOs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was I was at Worlds last year in Vermont. Mason handed me some of the first UFOs, let me putt with them. So immediately I get home and I'm like, I think I can get away from judges. And
Which we just talked shit about.
Yeah.
a lot. And
Shout out Jefferson the Swiss.
So I ordered several. They all came in, had different types, different weights, and they all came into the house. So I started working them into my routine out in the backyard, and it threw my rhythm off. Everything was just off. I was putting horribly. I never putted that bad. It was like I was a 780 player all of a sudden. And so I went back to my Supreme judges, and I dialed everything back in. I had a tournament, a B tier in Victoria the next weekend. It was the Riverside Rumble, and got there on Thursday evening and looked in the back of my truck, and I'd left all my judges in the patio at home. But
So
I
you
had
were
a
stuck with
stack of
UFOs.
UFOs, and I won the tournament. And
Hey, that's an easy way.
Yeah.
there was one putter out of the bunch. I had one soft Royal UFO, and it was orange, and it was 174, and I dialed that putter in that weekend. And now I have 10 or 12 of those, all the same mold, all the same weight, all the same color. Everything's,
Same run, I'm assuming, yeah?
they're all the same.
To me, it's so interesting because putting is so much about confidence. I wonder if for some reason you had an off day and played really bad with those UFOs, if you would not be using UFOs to this day, if just because everything came together to give you that confidence.
I'll even one up that when he was throwing the UFOs, he didn't have any sort of like mental like connection with the putter. He was like, I can just do my best, and they start going in, and then all of your confidence is based on just the last make, and it's a wave that comes over.
You're in the zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, that's the way to talk about the backup becoming the starter, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a Tom Brady situation for your
Yep.
putters.
But yeah, and they haven't left my bag since.
So in your agreement with Mint, you're allowed a few discs outside of Mint discs. Do you have any favorites that you throw that aren't Mint?
Cicada.
Cicada?
Discraft Cicada
Yeah.
is a go-to.
Yeah.
That thing. is
Straight shooter?
It is great.
Yeah.
Flip to flat, little bit of fade.
Yeah.
I mean, you can punch it down a line like crazy.
But also hold a nice turnover line too.
They
yeah.
will.
He was bombing it earlier today.
And some of the others, I mean, Halo Turn is like just a staple in my bag. I don't think it will ever leave my bag. I should probably get a second one.
Yeah.
Man, I'm trying to think what else. T-Bird 3. T-Bird 3 is just a good
Shout out
solid-
T-Bird 3, maybe the best disc in disc golf.
I have an old 2017 Innova team stamp from when Mason was with
Yeah.
Innova. And he gave it to me when I first started playing disc golf 2 years ago and said, here you go. You'll like this disc.
That's
and
great.
It's been in my bag every single round since then. So,
Man.
Super
Well,
cool.
I feel like we could have talked for now. I know you're a little crunched on time, so we can only get you just for the segment. But thank you so much for coming in and spending time. How can people find you online? Like, what's the best way to hook you up? Is it website, Instagram?
Instagram at DeadDyes or Instagram at DeadmanDG.
Deadman DG. Follow Deadman DG for sure as a Mint team member. Try to support all the Mint team members here. Give him a follow there. Make sure you check out his dyes. And more importantly, if you see this guy on the course, come up and say hello and say what's up. Just don't bug him about making you a disc like this because he's now our private disc maker. Okay.
Did you have anything you wanted to tease or talk about before?
No, I don't want to talk about our round from earlier today.
Is he trying to make fun? He's trying to tease a little bit?
No. We
Are you trying to razz
we
our
both
guest?
had kind of a rough round earlier today.
Well, I went and played. I went and played Sea Right.
Okay.
Blind.
Was it muddy at all?
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't
a little
bad.
muddy.
I mean,
Okay.
I have a little bit from some scramble shots.
The tee boxes were a little crunchy.
Okay.
For people that were muddy before us.
But yeah, I went and played it blind this morning. Had the worst round I've had all year long.
Hopefully they'll drop it.
But I had one good UFO forehand roller that was just
He had a pimp roller.
Forehand roller UFO.
yeah.
Savage.
It was a crazy scramble shot on hole 2.
Yeah, a whole. Yeah.
Oh, the tube?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hole
Yeah.
2, I shanked it straight out of my hand to the left, and then I was in the stuff,
rolled it under.
and I
the-
rolled that under
yeah.
the pin with a UFO.
Yeah.
So,
It looked like, ooh, this is going to be a 4. And then it was like, oh, that's an easy 3. Like, yeah.
Let's have you tag Tracy in all of your UFO forehand roller videos on Instagram because we need to get a compilation because I don't know if there's another person on the planet can pull that off. That's fucking awesome. That's really impressive.
It's just something I practice in the yard.
It's funny how the little backyard shots translate on the course more than you think they would. They get you out of jail
Yep.
so much. And they also give you confidence to hit little like touchy shots.
And that's something he said too. He was like, when we're out there and you're practicing, you got to practice the hard shots too.
Yeah.
Because if you don't practice throwing around some trees, or I mean, I guess I should let you say.
No, I mean,
No, please, yeah.
And the same thing is like a practice round. Like anytime you ever have a shot where you may have a drop zone, or you may if I hit this tree, you may not do it in a practice round, and you go off in the field somewhere. You have to practice that shot.
Smart.
If you watch the Open last weekend, I think it was they had a shot of Simon, and they said, I don't think anyone is shot from over here. Well, of course not, because it's way off the fairway. There's no OB, but you know what? Simon's liable to have practiced that shot, because if there's a bad kick and you go in that area, you got to know how to throw out of it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much for coming in. This is awesome. We'll have to have you back in here soon. We can't thank you enough for the zones. You're going to see all of us throwing these around the yard. I probably have to donate mine to the studio for now, but I'm probably going to sneak this out of here and play with it at least 2 or 3 times. There's no way it doesn't get thrown at all. I think
I have your address now, so there may be one come in the mail.
Oh, don't tease me like that,
tease
Tracy.
him like
I think what we might need to do is do a team outing. We all just throw our zones and do like a one
disc
disc
challenge?
challenge with the zone. That might be fun at Live Oak. All right.
Absolutely.
Well, throw to a commercial.
Yeah.
All right, so our next commercial is actually going to be presented by Deadman Dyes. So stick around for a few awesome shots of some dyes, and we'll be back in just a few minutes.
Stay with us. And welcome back, everybody, to the Barely Stable podcast. That was Tracey Deadman who was with us. Super awesome guy. Loved having him around. Had a lot of fun hanging out with him today.
Absolutely, we'll have to have him back here real soon.
He actually had to bounce because Mason and Valerie were texting him like, yo, we're at Roy G. Come hang out with us. Like, we want to play.
Rough life, dad life. He'll be okay. I think he'll be okay.
I think he'll be all right.
I think he'll be okay. 2 rounds in a day. Yeah,
Yeah,
he'll be good.
he was a little sore from sitting on the stool. I think that was probably.
Yeah, shout out Trace. So sorry we put you up on a bar stool that sucked for the previous episode. We thought we were we'll be better.
Yeah,
we'll be
we'll be
better.
better.
We'll do better. We'll be better.
Next time, he's gonna stay on the couch with me the whole time. It'll be super
Yeah,
comfy.
absolutely.
We'll cuddle a little bit.
Yeah. So we just had the Open at Austin here in town. It seemed like it was a great time. I can't speak enough about how well they, took improvement or took kind of the course from last year and improved upon it, improved upon the player experience, the fan experience, the viewership, the galleries. I mean, everything was just better than last year.
I feel like it was better in every aspect.
Yeah,
I agree with
absolutely.
that.
Were there some shortcomings with some of the tee boxes and us getting shit on with rain again? Yeah, but there's always going to be some of those things to deal with.
Never
And
gonna be perfect.
Having being there all 3 days, there's no shortage of people working as hard as they can every second of the waking day, trying to prevent any of those things from happening. So it feels like they're going the right direction just in general. But here in Austin, it felt like huge improvement and things going the right way.
I feel like it felt like a win. I feel like the whole tournament went smoothly. Video came out fun. Everybody I know that's been there that went
A couple
enjoyed
weather delays
Yeah.
that slowed it down, and then like the men only played 15 holes on round 3, which was a little odd, but it was cool that they took the 3 holes with the least amount of separation and pulled those and had them play all the holes with the greatest separation on the course. So that was a real savvy move, and it also didn't really affect the flow too much.
Yeah. Well, it's like they put some thought into it.
Yeah.
And we're like, this is the best way we can make this change that we have to make.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I was walking along with the card, and it actually felt very nice to skip those holes. It felt like a very nice flow.
Yeah. But on the I get to on the last day do the chase card, and I'll tell you, following around the current world champion, Miss Kristen Tatar, was a absolute pleasure.
Wow. Yeah.
She's a savage. I don't know how else to say it. And they kind of mentioned it on coverage, but when her caddy likes a shot, his response is basically it's just a slightly more of a smile than like the basic smile he has. Not a lot of emotion, but it was I don't say because clearly she was there for business. Like she was dialed in the third day, and she was trying to like make a
close to the
run.
ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there was all we could hear.
My girl.
All we could hear, they were chasing us. They were the hole behind us. We just kept hearing the cheers get louder and louder and louder and louder. And by the time of 18, everyone had just gathered around and followed her up 18. And the celebration when she won, I mean, it was magical to be around.
I saw her do the full run with the 5s.
Yeah.
It was so good. That was the highest ever rated tournament for an FPO player.
Of all time.
Yeah.
And not on an easy course.
No.
Like she didn't go do this at the Memorial. She did this at the Open also on New.
And-
Is that a bad? Help me out, Trevor. I saw the look.
I don't remember.
What?
I love it.
You love it?
Yeah.
What do you love?
It's calling out the memorial.
I'm not really calling it out. It's kind of cool. The Memorial going 18 down is fun. I'm not mad at that kind of course. It's cool, but I'm just saying like she didn't do it at the Memorial. She didn't do it at Zilker. She did it
At a course that,
Yeah.
well, new course, really. Nobody had played that
Yeah,
before.
and the only hole that seemed to give her any trouble was this downhill par 3 that had the most forgivable drop zone. It was just begging for ace runs, and she was just a little off. But every other difficult hole, she got the birdie on 6. She got the birdie on 18. She was birdieing holes that most people were struggling for par and bogey. So that's where her separation came from. And it felt like that kind of technical line, her ability to forehand. I mean, she throws that leopard 3 forehand, backhand, and can kind of put it anywhere she wants, it feels like.
Right.
It was just really impressive watching. I mean, could it happen to a nicer person? She seems like she's just I don't know.
Super chill.
Yeah, and just like
Yeah.
maybe like a light bulb of positive energy.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things I've always loved about her, because she's probably, I mean, that's why I took her so early in the draft. She's probably one of my favorite players just in general, like male or female, but always great vibes. Like she's always, you never see her like not happy when somebody else succeeds.
Absolutely. And I noticed that every other female player loves Owen Scoggins. There's no one on tour has beef with Owen Scoggins, and there's no shortage of beef. Like it is like summer camp, high school, all mixed together. Like there's so many cliques and things, but everyone loves Owen.
Highest rated FPO round, FPO tournament. It was, do you guys remember? It was 1,028
Average across all three.
average across all three.
The males, MPO also had a dynamic finish, came down to the last 3 holes. Nicholas Antilla shut out. I mean, he's an assassin. I don't think he'll ever get too warm because there's just ice in his blood. He is just a killer.
I love, for me, what I'm loving is seeing the people are like, where's this guy from? He's all good. It's like, Finland has been putting out some disc golfers for a while now. Like it's a big deal.
It's no secret that they're good. They're real good. They also like don't care or complain about anything, which is the nice thing. I sent something about the rain to one of the guys from the European tour that was following along. On Kristen's card, there was also Heide, and she was caddied by Nikita, I can't remember, but they're all Finnish. And he's like, oh, this is basically summertime in Finland.
Yeah.
It's like, this is no big deal. This is how we always play.
Rain. Yeah.
So it feels like that kind of, and I don't want to go Viking, but kind of like Viking mentality where like weather doesn't really bother them. They are not going to be the people complaining on tour when it's windy, when it's rainy, when it's wet, when the tee pads aren't ideal. I feel like those are the people that are going to adapt and overcome, and that's going to be a huge advantage.
Yeah. Well, I really feel like we messed up by not picking Niklas up in our.
Yeah, shout out to Nicholas Antilles. Sorry for not pulling in on our draft. Our bad.
I feel like when we do the redraft and we pick up a couple more players to even it out,
That might be one that gets picked. Absolutely. Well, now that the Open in Austin is all wrapped up, we have another exciting event here in Austin this week out at Sprinkle Valley and a handful of other courses around Austin, and that is the USWDGC. Putting on by Mint Discs is their first big major event. It's Sprinkle. I mean, when they got the bid for this event, Sprinkle Valley wasn't even in the ground at that point.
Yeah,
so
it was still a concept. I think they were still cutting trees out there.
Absolutely. So they have gone, and you can't give enough shout out to all of the Mint team that's been out there. I mean, specifically people I see there every single time is obviously Zach's always out there doing work.
Zach.
Zane's always out there doing work. There's just a dedicated group of people that are Martin, absolutely, that are just always there doing work on the course. So if you're noticing the course looks beautiful as you watch it on coverage this weekend, or if you're lucky enough to get out there and watch some of the FPO players compete, just know that all that came from the blood, sweat, and tears of a lot of people putting in a lot of free labor to make sure that this course looks terrific. So I'd like to give a shout out, no free shout out to all of them, just real quick. Thank you to those guys. I appreciate you guys backing me up on this class.
Hell yeah. I actually ran into Zach once, and I was like, "Hey man, what's your score out here at Sprinkle?" He's like, "Man, I haven't really played the whole course yet." I was like, "What?" It's like, if I got free time, I'm working on it. Kid. He's like, I think he's played it now.
Sprinkle Valley looks amazing. Looks great there. I was able to get out there with Jen Umstead and Jen Allen yesterday to sort of take a look at the course. We shot some content. We'll probably show a little bit of that here at the end of the episode as just a little bit of a, little package about the course. But 18 out there.
Yeah, it's finished now. What do you got?
It's amazing. We'll start there. It is amazing. They've created, it almost reminds me of like a, if the mind that created one of the more fun holes at the mini Dillo did a full par 5, it feels a little like that. You have a lot of out of bounds, so you have to throw off the box, carry a little bit of out of bounds. It's only like maybe 200.
We measured that. It's 235.
235. So it's not a big carry, so everyone will be able to get over it. But what's funny is the back line is right at a decider point for most people. So most females throw maybe 400 off the box top. Would you agree with that, Trevor? What do you think? 350, 400?
Yeah. I would say, under 400.
Yeah, so that distance puts them where they kind of have to lay up. They can't really beat that bottleneck there on the left.
There'll be some who can, but
oh yeah, there's the top players are throwing over 400 for sure. But
yeah, for sure. But besides those, 8 or 10 people, most people are going to be laying up. Then you have to play a shot into the woods, which that map is not accurate. The amount of trees you're throwing through in the top part of that C section there,
a lot thicker, right?
A lot thicker. And then you throw through a suicide tube, which again, that map's not accurate. The tube between the woods and the map is probably 8 feet wide, 10 feet wide.
That's it?
I bet I could lay across and touch it with my toes and hands. It's pretty close. It was going to be out of bounds and play into an island at the top, but now there's a kind of, I'll put a video up that I took there, but there's a little bin built in that's all out of bounds on the outside of it. It's got a little lip so it'll catch your disc on the ground if there's ground play. But it's, you throw to short, you throw into the woods, you throw, to think that your third shot could punch through the woods, carry the moat that is in between.
Yeah, they don't show the moat on there either, right?
I guess that's the other part of the map that's a little inaccurate. There's literally water in between the basket and those trees. It's not the best. Not the best sign. They also had it marked on the temp signs they had out there. They had this, I think, marked as a 3, and then 17 marked as a 4.
Interesting.
It's just a temp sign. Yeah, I think it's just a whoopsie. But you'd be surprised at how much this throws off pro players. Do you think they'll play it as a 4? I think it's clearly a 3.
Yeah,
let's play it as a 3.
17 is a 3. 18 is a 5 now.
Again, that wasn't the gens. That was just some observations of other players.
The gens.
Yeah. Pretty cool. I'll be honest with you, and not to too much say inside baseball, but playing around with a couple of pros is humbling. to
Yeah.
put it
I bet.
very plain. Like Jen Umstead she's going to play in the 40 FP40 for USWDGC. Jen Allen's still very much in the FPO, top of the mix. She's still sponsored by Innova, Zuka. I mean,
yeah.
she's one of the main faces of Zuka and Innova, really, at this point. She has the logo. And she rips. I don't know how to say it. Like throws real far, throws real hard, can hit every line,
And then nails her putts.
Yeah, and then putts real well, and is humble and like
Still cool.
chill. Yeah. I didn't throw that much after we got it going because there were so many people on the course. I just sort of just threw a shot every now and then because I was not hitting a lot of lines early. I was slowing the card down just a bit. So I was like, they're like, "Are you gonna play?" I was like, "No, I picked up.
I'll
We'll
just
like, they're like
some
you can
video.
play." I was
Yeah.
like, I'm not throwing 8 times. You guys should throw 4 times and we'll move on to the next basket. But what we did is we shot the last, I think 6 holes, maybe 4 holes. I forget how many we got in, but they seemed like it was going to be the decider holes on the course. So maybe we'll throw to a little package of some of the highlights of that here after this. But as you're watching this weekend, that last 6 holes will really be where people are made and break. Where you're made or break? How would you
Will
do
make or
that?
break.
Made or broken?
Made or broken? Yeah,
It
there
will
you go.
make
Thank
or
you.
break some players.
Words today, hard.
Yeah, we've been
We'll figure it out.
pushing the envelope a little bit. Today.
I think they our round with Disc Golf World, there was a few too many vitamins involved. Got some of that vitamin D from the sunshine,
yeah.
and then other
Vitamin G from the
vitamins
green
from the
things.
ground. Yeah, from
Yeah,
the ground.
from
Yeah.
the-
So as we kind of progress, we'll throw. Actually, why don't we do this? Why don't we take a quick break? We'll throw to a commercial. We'll hit that package up, and then we'll come back and sign off. How about that?
Sounds beautiful. We'll see you soon.
All right. Then we'll just throw to that, and then we'll just do a quick wrap up. Show's done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
cool.
Love it.
All right.
And welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for watching today. This is the Barely Stable Podcast. I'm Daniel Freeberg. That's Nick Barr. Back there we have Rigdon and Williamson.
Hi again.
We love you. Thanks
Sounds
for
like
watching.
a law firm that's keeping us safe. And, brought to you by Rigdon and Williamson. Call 1-8444. It's the only number you need to know. Thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you follow us on social. That's probably right here. Make sure you check out Team Potato on Instagram and their website as well. Always, Rigdon's always on Instagram. Then Trail Candy Disc Golf. Please give that a follow too. You probably follow them if you follow us. Trevor's doing great coverage in the local area. Until next time.
Just be cool.